What I've been doing lately is trying out some different acrylic pigments for ocean scenes. In this one I used Viridian green, ultramarine blue, and cobalt blue. I mean not cobalt, I'm sorry, cerulean. The more sky blue is cerulean blue, and ultramarine blue and some Viridian mixed in. And these are my favorite pigments for doing the ocean. But I also have this other green. Phthalo green is recommended by a lot of artists to do the ocean, and so I just dabbled around with it and did this real quickly, but I don't like how super green it is. See, you can tell that it's just almost overwhelmingly green, and that's because phthalo green is an extremely strong pigment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over it with a glaze of ultramarine blue. In other words, I'm going to have my brush fairly wet, get a little bit of the ultramarine blue on here, and just, I've already started it right here. I put the glaze over it. I'm going to do that all across this. Now see, when there's, if I get a little too strong a blue right there, I'll just thin it out a little bit so that the green still comes through. Now this especially, watch this get moderated here. And I might try out a little bit of glaze of cerulean too to make it really lighter. See, when we look at ocean water and we see a little bit of green or certain colors, our eye tends to zero in on them and accent that. And when we paint, we tend to put too much of it in. But if you actually look at a photo of the ocean, there's a whole lot more gray and white in there than you would think. So I'm just going to play around with putting a glaze over this to see what happens. Just an experiment here. Now this, of course, needs more of a whitish green on that part of the wave. So I'm going to get a little bit of white on my brush and a little bit of the green. This is Viridian, that more subtle, beautiful green. And put it right in here. Get a little more white to brighten it up right here. Oh, that's turning into more of a gray, so I'm gonna let it dry. And one way I can just hasten that on, just blot that off, let it dry and go over it with just the right shade of tinged white on the highlight of the coming in wave. Let's see. So get this white here. Now it should be dry. It dries really quickly with acrylic. Do it in the shape of the wave, you know, you just sort of get an idea. It gives it shape. One thing else you notice about the top of a wave, there's usually a little edge of bright reflected light on the top edge of it. So now I'm going to get exactly that. I'm going to find a spot of really clean white on here. Put just a touch of it on my brush. This angled brush works really well for thin straight lines like this. And just go across the top of that wave. See if I can make it look a little more realistic looking. Now, to give a couple of little cute little details like that spray of water that comes off, it's just like really light blown by the wind. See, it's a little bit of a see-through, you know, thin white. You can see the water through it. That probably shouldn't go over there, so all I have to do is just wipe that off because the paint is dry underneath it. Ta-da! This painting is obviously not finished. I have some details. I might want to put a little lacy edge around that water that's coming in, and that means I'll need just a really nice little bit of solid white and just sort of dab it along the edge. Uh-oh, I picked up a little brown in that, so I got to make sure I clean my brush. See, the palette is messy, and I don't really have a good spot of white on here, so I've got to force myself to pause. And I have another saved palette that has a mound of white on it, so I'm going to get that off of here and use it. This one has, you see the white right there, some clean white. Put on the edge of my brush. And then I'm going to go like this and define that water, and it's so fun. This is the fun part. So much fun. Once you get all these basics, the main big parts of the painting blocked in, then you can think about details. But oh, this is too green right there. I'm just gonna put a little bit of white over that to moderate it while I'm at it. Now, let's see, this might be a nice little frothy edge right here. So I'm going to sort of let my brush drag a little bit, and certain parts will be a little thicker white than other parts. But that gives you that effect of the water flowing in. It's so cool. And sometimes, and you'll see that the sand shows through. It's like a glaze of white. Parts of it are solid white, like right there on the edge, and then parts of it are glazy so that the sand shows through. Now, this needs to be more of a silvery. The way I do the silvery reflected water, right here you would want something like this white and ultramarine blue, sort of a silvery color. And it really, if you have just a touch of this raw umber in there, it makes it almost gray, silvery gray. And that is what I do right here. Nice flat swath of it with some white right in the middle of it to make it look really reflective. Like this light glowing off of it. This part is so fun because you can just play around with your brush and try to get different effects. And then step back and see if it's looking like water. Get some froth on the underside of these waves. If it's too much, see if I got a little, well, not too bad, a little too much froth, I can just blot it out with a clean spot on my rag, and then it's not so noticeable. Okay, so that has moderated that green just a little bit. Still, it's so overpowering, and that's why I like to use the Viridian green. It looks a little more natural, but you know, to each his own. Some people like it more brilliant like this. I still think I can, I'm going to, after the video's over, I'll just go back and put a little bit more of a, yeah, I'm going to do that right now, of the nice little edge. I'm going to take a small angled brush like this, see if you can see it, and put some nice solid white on the, just not all the way through the brush, just on the ends of it, the tip of it. And then just go across the top of this. Then sort of make it come down here and there to give the shape to the wave. I think it might be coming now. Might be okay. It's just, but this is just a quick, fun little playing around with the ocean. And of course we need a little bit of the suggestion of some white tops way in the distance back here. Just little bits and pieces of white back there really will make that look more like the ocean. Sort of